Hi, I'm Dr. Jim Hoven, your host of the Difference Makers podcast. This is a place where people come together that are making a difference for those who want to make a difference. And that's you. We're bringing thought leaders together in a sense of fusion where ideas and concepts and personalities are all driven together into one place at one time. And this is no different. In this episode, you're going to see cool things from cool people making a difference. Well, hello everyone. It's Dr. Jim Hoven, your host of the Difference Makers podcast, and I am back again. Hopefully you've enjoyed the last few episodes. We've done some cool things and shared some cool information with you. And so I want to start in a little different way today. I want to say, if you like what you've been hearing, this episode is going to be really cool. And once you hear it, I'm going to try to remind you now to do the thing where you get the bell notification and subscribe and like. And if you listen to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, however you check us out, make sure that if you like it, you subscribe and then you share it, because that's how we really, truly do make a difference in our world. And hopefully the information that you're going to get today and through the rest of our podcast shows helps you make a difference too. So all that being said, let's get started. Today, I have a sweet, and I mean sweet podcast, figuratively and literally, in that I have someone, actually a pair of someone's, a husband and wife team that does one of the coolest things for a living you can imagine. Check it out. They make sugar cookies and sweet stuff. Now, here's the reason why that's such a big deal, because I love sweet stuff. I know everyone around me has to try to rein it in and dial me back when it comes to sweets, because I have this sweet tooth, had it my whole life. So when I met Andy several months ago now, I guess it's been, and I tried one of his family business's cookies, Danay, you're ridiculous. But when I had this, I'm like, oh, we got to have him on the show. So they were kind enough to take a break from their business. We're going to talk about business. We're going to talk about cookies, and we're going to talk about family today. So without further ado, let's get going. So let me introduce these guys. Danay, Andy, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what you guys are getting done right here at the Sugar Cookie Store.
Oh, so me, of course. Thanks, Doctor. We appreciate you having us on the show. So my name's Andy. It's my business partner, but more importantly, my beautiful wife and best friend, Danay. Been married 16 years. Our business is in Erie, Colorado, so just north of you guys, not too far away. But we, as you said, we're the owners of the Sugar Cookie Store. And what we do is we do custom imagery on sugar cookies, but our business, much like many other people's businesses, have taken a long time to reach where we are today. So we started just out of our house, just like any other normal business potentially would, small business owners. Out of, it grew naturally. And then people started asking us for the sweets that we were making, that Danay was making for our kids' birthday parties. Mm-hmm. And then over time, we started doing other people's birthday parties for both cakes and cookies and cupcakes and all those things. And then I lost my job. This is about 9 years ago at this point. The owners of the company I worked for retired. And so we needed to make that decision we had 4 kids, 3 kids at the time, right? I think.
Yeah. 3, 4, who's counting?
They're all redheads too, by the way. It's amazing.
Oh, there you go.
We have a very interesting house of 4 redheaded children. But with all that being said, we needed to make a decision. We're like, is this going to be a hobby of ours, or is this going to actually be the next step of our financial freedom for our life?
Beautiful. Man, I love that so much. So now let's take a rewind step from that.
Yeah.
Danay,
yes.
Tell us about this. So you're minding your own business, making cookies for your kids on their birthday. Mm-hmm. Did you always love making sweets, or where did this come from? And then how did you get good enough to where other people said, I want to do that?
So good question. I've always been very creative in wanting a creative outlet. And so I think when I started having my kids, I was going to order cakes or something. And I was like, well, I think I'd probably do this, right? So I started making my cakes. I was like, oh, I can definitely do this. And so I just started naturally making cakes for my kids and watching YouTube videos and learning how the process was. And that's pretty much, I just kind of evolved naturally.
She's
talent.
being modest.
Yeah.
Usually your stuff either tastes good or looks good. She taught herself everything off of YouTube.
Really?
And spent hours and hours researching how to make the best products, and just dove in she loved doing it.
Well, and I'm very much a perfectionist. Like, I always want it to be perfect and right. You know what I mean? And so, it takes a lot of time to get to that point, but yeah.
And so when you were a little girl, were you into baking or anything like that?
Oh, it's so funny. I've got a funny story about that. So I did. I loved baking when I was younger. But when I was about 8 years old, I had a cookbook, and there was it was a wreath cookie that I was trying to make. And I made it, and it tasted terrible. I put in way too much baking soda.
As it turns out.
Yeah, it was awful. And didn't realize it. But then after that, I kind of was like, man, I am never going to be a baker. And that was when I was 8. So I didn't really come upon baking until I was a little bit older. So and I was very into sports and all that stuff in high school. So I didn't start messing with it until I was like about 23.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Okay.
But very creative, though. I've always been creative.
So it started out of our house, right? And we got to this one point where we're looking around our house, and we had 8 folding tables set up with Christmas sugar cookies that were drying that she actually did every single one by hand. And I'm not sure if you've ever done sugar cookies or anyone else has.
Yes.
It's time intensive.
It is very
You're
time
making
intensive.
everything by hand. You're making the frosting by hand. You are decorating by hand when you get to the level that she was doing.
Yeah, let me rephrase that then. No, I've never done that. I've taken frosting and put it on cookies that someone else baked, and I get a neck ache from just doing it.
Oh, we're going to talk about that too. 'Cause we had this is in the past, we had a very fun family focused product that was that exact same thing. But at this one Christmas time, we were like, holy cow, we have 8 folding tables filled with 2,000-3,000 cookies. What are we doing here? We need our house back.
My house was pretty much a bakery.
So let me take back now another step. So we kind of know, Danay, how your journey has taken you through the creative side into just organically falling into it.
Yep.
Andy, what did you do before when you were working and then the company sold? Did you change careers totally into now business management?
No. And I've been in sales and marketing my entire life.
Okay.
I mean, growing up, my dad is a CEO of a company in Chicago, and I learned all the different steps of the industry that he was in from a long time. And I still do that today.
Yes.
Right. Danay does this full time. I do this as much as I can to help with the family. I travel for work too. So the workload that she has when it comes to having we have 4 kids, this business, we have multiple business because we now own our commercial property too. So we have multiple renters that are on the property as well. Yeah. So it's just a lot. We've taken so many different steps. So I'm otherwise employed as well. But at the same point, I've had a sales and marketing background. So talking to people, being able to connect with people, and the fact that we were never trying to sell cookies or cakes or cupcakes in the past, we were selling smiles to families. We were selling experiences with the products through the products that we make.
That's a really good point. And I want people to know, I mean, I am so much about entrepreneurship and business and all these things. And sometimes people, if they're watching this show, I don't want them to tune out because they like, oh, is this a business podcast? No, but all these things translate into organizational life of anything, whether it's a sport team, a church, a philanthropic effort, all these things transfer. So when you say you were selling smiles, I want people to know what I heard you say was our product was something amazingly cool. Look at this, you guys. This says Ramos Law on it. So cool. Maybe we'll get a picture of this or a close-up or something as we go through the process. But that's the product. But the experience is, what does that do for our team members, for our clients? That's what you're talking about, right?
It transcends business. It's not just, it's life, right? At the end of the day. My relationship with Danay, we had a friendship for years before things changed to now we wanted to be, together as a couple. But it's not just about the product. It's about the experience that the product gives you at the end of the day.
Danay, what experience does doing this give you? When you're making all these things, what's the experience for you as the artist or as the creator of these products?
I put everything into it, right? I get a vision from my clients, and especially when I was doing more of the cakes and all the things. And I really put my whole heart into it for them, right? I've done all sorts of events, business events, birthdays, funerals, it's all the things, right? And so I make sure that I take whatever it is that the people are looking for and put my whole heart into their products, and it's, at the end of the day, it took a lot of emotion to do that. I know that kind of sounds silly, but it's true.
No. Every artist, if you look at who an artist is and what they do, whether they're playing music, whether they're painting, sculpting, whether they're fly fishing on a river, when you are into flow, it's all about that heart and what you're doing, the experience.
Yeah. And so and you put everything into it. So, and that's my role in this. I just make sure that I am creating what these clients are asking for and making sure that I make their event perfect.
Do you have a favorite thing that you love to bake? And maybe now that you're at scale, maybe it's tougher to say that because you're doing things at a much larger scale. But is there something that just really tugs at your heartstrings to be like, I love making these things?
Honestly, it's still, I think, my cinnamon rolls.
The cinnamon rolls.
And it's so funny because I never expected my cinnamon rolls to be as big of a hit as they were. And so when we had our retail bakery, that was our product. Like during COVID, that's what kept people coming and enjoying their weekends together with their family inside, right? But so the cinnamon rolls really have a special meaning to me. So whenever I make them, like I never get tired of it.
They have a special meaning to me too, but that's another story.
Yeah.
Andy, what were you going to say?
She's understating the fact that these cinnamon rolls, I mean, the fact they've had on her and our family and our community that we're in.
Yeah.
We launched the cinnamon rolls at our retail bakery when we had the retail side of it.
Yeah.
Just before COVID, December 2019 is basically when it all started. And people loved them. And we were baking them and doing the whole thing. And then COVID hit. And we had to completely rechange our entire model on how we're going to get people products. We ended up just knocking out a window of our building, turning into a drive-through window, and saying, order online for cinnamon rolls and drive up and pick them up from this time to this time.
So we go and hand them right out into their cars.
Wow.
Their drive-through.
Yeah, but you should see.
So the line. So we had a line from.
Do you have pictures of the line?
Do you want me to? I can pull one up if you want me to.
No, we won't do it now, but send us one. Maybe we'll see if we can embed it in the video here.
We had about 40 cars in line that were through the parking lot, down the street, around the corner. I sent my kid up, our teenager up to there were some exterior stairs in this building up to the top of the building across the street, and took a picture of it. And it's like about 2 blocks long, the line of cars waiting to get their cinnamon rolls.
What a community impact it means that you were having.
Yeah, and they still talk about it. Like I still run into people and they're like, I just can't tell you how, every weekend we were there. We had nothing else to do on a Saturday, when they were locked in for COVID. So we drove, we waited in line, and they grabbed their cinnamon rolls. And it's still a story that they talk about and how it just that was their thing during COVID. Yeah, on the weekends. So
I know that we had talked before we went on air. You guys had to make a couple tough decisions. One, decide to open the business or not and scale it, right? That's a commitment, because once you start getting into shops and rents and leases or purchases of buildings, like now you're on the hook, so to speak.
Yeah. And we realized that really quickly,
Yeah. And then you had to say, again, something that we talked about again before we started was, then you had to decide on what kind of business do you want to be with respect to how it connects your business values and business goals to your family values and your family goals. I'd like for you guys to speak about that for a moment, because people watching, I think it's easy for us all to get caught up in doing it every day in our careers. And you guys having 4 kids and going through that process. Tell us what the friction that started, what caused you to have to make the decision, and then what the decision was and why you made it.
I'll start with that. So we had a retail bakery for 5 years. And during the year 2021, I had a couple family members that I had lost. I lost my brother and I lost my grandma. And then my son was in the hospital for a week. And so this was when I was running the business. I had 11 employees. I mean, I was in the thick of it. And so when all these events, and within 3 months, everything happened.
Wow.
So it was really, I was down. I was just going to work just to get through it, right? And then I just kept thinking, I'm like, there's got to be a different way. Like I shouldn't be, I need to be home with my family, but here I am at the bakery right now, because I have to be. And so I was like, Andy, we've got to switch this up somehow. And so I for about a year, I kind of thought about it, like, okay, do I close the bakery? But if I close the bakery, what's the community going to think? What's going to happen? And as an entrepreneur, like, you don't want people to think you failed, and that's kind of where my mind was going. Like, I built this incredible community spot and I'm going to just close it. And what's everyone going to think, And we were very successful. So it wasn't like I was closing it because the business was doing poorly or all these other reasons. I just knew that there had to be a better balance with family. And so we talked about it. And
with anything in life, though, whether it's a business, a job, a hobby, a sports team that's taking up time, if it ever conflicts with your family, right? And then the time, and you only get so much time with your family, right? And we're realizing that more and more now that our oldest is now 16 years old. Our kids are 16, 14, 12, and 8. And the fact of the matter is he's off to college in a year and a half.
And they need you more than ever.
And they need you more than ever.
Yes.
So the 5-6 years that we had the retail bakery, and now a couple of years past that, we've been doing this professionally now for 8-9 years now. Remember, our youngest is 8, so she was born right when all this stuff was going on.
Yeah.
So decisions need to be made, because there's not just one end-all be-all saying this has to be the way it is. Look, if it doesn't fit with your family life, family first, and figure it out.
And I was kind of going downhill just mentally. Like, I just was not in it, right? I wanted to be home. I wanted to be with my kids, and I just couldn't figure out a good balance with the situation we had with the bakery. And so we decided, okay, well, let's try this. And so this is where we transitioned.
Yeah. I mean, we were there at the bakery every Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
From 5 a.m. till 3 p.m.
Because cinnamon rolls, I come in and make the cinnamon rolls on the weekends. And then I was making sometimes 20 cakes a weekend.
20 cakes in a weekend.
And so imagine all that emotional load.
Yeah. And that's not something she can put on her employees either. I mean, that's her skill.
Yeah.
Yeah, But that was, I toned it down a bit. But, oh my gosh, it was a lot. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So we had to make some tough decisions when it came to that. But the nice thing is, during COVID, we had the opportunity to purchase the building that we've rented for the past 3-4 years. So we took the leap, found a way to make it happen, purchased our commercial property that we were in, and we said, you know what, we own the property now. Let's figure out a way to make our family life work with this.
More balance,
So we ended up shutting down the retail walk-in side of it, finding a great local woman business owner to come in and run a dream that she's always wanted to start, her sandwich shop. We share the kitchen with her now. And we transitioned to our number one selling product at the time, which was the sugar cookies. And we jumped in and changed our business to e-commerce. We went from 11 employees down to just her and I. Mm-hmm. And she's doing just such an amazing job of scaling at this now, because it's something we can do while the kids are at school.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's been life-changing.
That's so exciting.
In all the good ways. Yeah.
And so let's talk a little bit now about the family connection to the business. So because what I've seen is in families, and I don't know you guys, right? But the way that you talk about your family and how you have made these decisions for your family, when I was in chiropractic practice, I would treat families like yours. And what I would notice is that oftentimes, whether that business was a restaurant or a cleaning business or something, as those kids came up, they were part of the business as well. So that now you're doing family and business, that becomes fun. That becomes something that you do. Is that something that you guys do? How are the kids incorporated?
Oh, so we do. So I have a 16-year-old, and he's been working with me since he was 12.
Okay.
And then all the kids have been a part of it from the beginning, right? I mean, I would put on shirts at the farmers markets that say, "Follow me for cake." It had my
on the kids' shirts.
On the kids'
yes,
shirt.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know how safe that was, but they were little, walking around, and everyone's like, "I saw your kids," at the farmers market, wherever they would be. But anyway,
remember when Weston made his old cinnamon roll flavor, and we were sold out of those. So
we're creating these little entrepreneurs themselves, right?
Yes,
and so they see us working hard and doing our thing, but also making choices that you don't have to kill yourself in the middle of it. So we have our little guy, he's 14 now, and he started, he made a recipe at my bakery, and it was a pumpkin cinnamon roll. And so he sold it to and people were loving it. And so all the money that I got for that in our bakery, I would give to him and put into his account. And he loved it. So now they go to school right down the road. And
it's like 3 blocks away from the bakery.
So my 12-year-old now walks to the bakery, and he helped me do dishes. He helps me bag the cookies, stick around, but they all help in their own ways, right? And that they can. So they're all a part of it, and they know the ins and outs of how it works.
And now that we have a 16-year-old, Daddy doesn't have to do all the deliveries anymore, which is kind of nice too.
That's right. So you guys do some local deliveries, and then a lot of e-commerce stuff gets shipped out as well. But you have local delivery stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So we have a big account in Denver that we go to weekly. And
couple in Boulder that we do weekly.
Couple in Boulder. Yeah. CU is one of our clients, and we go and drop off cookies for the football games. So we do. We just deliver. If it's local, like I don't mind delivering. I'd rather be in control of it than send it in a shipping box. That's who knows. But
nice touch too.
Yeah.
Beautiful touch.
And you can say hi
to
people.
Meet you and
you always want to make sure that you're in front of them and you say hi and that they know that you're a person, delivering their stuff.
How many people do you guys have now? So you had 11, you go down to just you. Now, as you're scaling it back up, did you need to bring more people on?
Well, now that the kids are able to work, like actually work, they come in for 3 hours at the end of the day and help. We don't need the extra hands like we used to.
Yeah.
Like
we went down from 92 SKUs to 1 SKU. Wow. Now it's just the round cookie that we can print anything. Didn't mean to cut you off, by the way. I'm so sorry. But it's just the 1 SKU now.
Yeah. So again, what they're talking about, you guys, is this is an example of, this is when they were so kind to bring to us at Ramos Law. This is a QR code that people can use.
I mean, who puts a QR code on a cookie?
Nobody but you guys.
Yeah.
And so it's really unique. What all kinds of things can people put on these? Can they put photographic images, slogans, logos?
Anything. You can put anything on them. As long as it, for us, we try to follow suit with the copyright stuff, right? But you put just about anything.
How does it work? I'm interested. Like, how do you get something on
She's
frosting?
gotten really, really good at doing it by hand. No, I'm just kidding. She can't do that by hand.
Yeah, you're meticulous.
Yeah. We have a printer that actually just prints right on them.
Edible ink
What
printers?
does it put? I was going to say, what does it print on? So it's an edible ink.
Yeah, an edible ink. And so it prints right on the cookie,
food coloring.
which is great.
Oh, it's food coloring. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's food coloring. It's edible ink, but it's basically food coloring.
Yep. And I'm very techie. Like, I love computers and working. I've always been like that. And so now I kind of get to geek out with that, with the cookies, right? Because I get to design the images that customers are asking for. They're like, hey, I just want to put this on this with the logo or something. So anyways, I love creating things like that for them.
Our big thing, though, now is automation. I mean, we're still a manual process, which is what we're trying to get
Which
past.
means you put a sheet of cookies into an oven. That oven cooks those cookies. One
But even
sheet at a
before
time.
that, we make the cookies from scratch.
All the batter.
Everything from scratch, the batter and the frosting. We roll out the cookies with a little rolling machine that we have. We hand stamp out the cookies.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Put them on the sheet.
One
we
batch
bake
of
them.
cookie dough makes 500 cookies. So.
One batch of cookie dough makes 500 cookies. And how long does it take you to make 500 cookies by the time you cook them, make them, batch them?
It takes maybe a day.
Wow.
Like, it doesn't take too long.
Yeah, but that's not very, for 500 cookies for a whole day, if someone orders 200, 250, and 250, you're done. Like, that's all the orders you can take.
That's us not pushing it, right? That's giving me time to say, hey,
and that's also putting frosting on the cookies and everything.
From start to finish. But yeah, I think solo, like, I probably do between 2,000 to 3,000 a week, which is a lot.
And that's just cookies. Because you're also doing
cookies.
the cinnamon rolls.
I do cinnamon rolls, more
right?
for like wholesale stuff or special events. So like during Christmas, we put out cinnamon rolls and people buy them at it. We sell, I think, 300 4-packs of cinnamon rolls for Christmas. Yeah, and they bake them at home and stuff. But that's like our little
we give
community.
them to them. We make it and freeze them and give it to them. They bake them at home.
Yeah, so that's
the
something.
Smells in their house on Christmas morning with the cinnamon rolls and stuff. And that's just. It's amazing.
Epic.
Yeah, and we're still wholesaling to a couple of coffee shops around. But other than that, we're not making them for the general public.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so we do it like
priorities.
Special events. Yeah,
priorities. You know what I mean?
But the cookies are great.
Do you guys network with other businesses? And here's why I was asking that. We had, if you look back on a podcast, I had another sweet episode where the owner of McGill's Ice Cream, I don't know the episode number that was, but the owner of McGill's, it's a 60-year-old company where it has a great origin story, how the current guy got as a college student and this and that. And so we go there, right? It's kind of, it's not, we live in the mountains, so it's not in our neck of the woods, but when we're in down, we're usually close to it. So we'll go see it. And it just seems like having connections with other businesses that do similar things but different, or even completely different things, can really be a nice way for you guys to get out and network and have that opportunity.
Oh yeah, I've met a lot of people in the same industry. And we'll support each other and, help each other in any way that we can. I actually started out with a macaron shop, and I was her first account to wholesale from her, to buy her, and now she's blown up. Like, she's doing incredible. I know. So, and I would always
give her a shout out.
It's Bella Macaron and Thornton.
She's great people.
She's amazing. But you build those networking and connections and people within your same
but
industry.
It's so much more about the people than it is about competing business or if this business can help you or not. Because at the end of the day, if you're connected with people and the people truly care about you and you truly care about them and want them to succeed, everyone will find a way.
And even with other cookie businesses, we support each other, and we people will ask me, well, how did you do this or how did you do that? And I have no problem sharing. Even though there might be competitors, it's still, I can't take all the business. It's not possible.
Yes, we can.
So what about this? How do you guys now as a business connect with the community? You mentioned earlier that during COVID, it was easier. It happened supernaturally and organically because you were open, they could get stuff, they connected you, you had a place. There was something that you were a beacon for them to go to. Now with the community, do you do community events? Do you donate cookies to different causes, or how do you guys connect with the community?
We're working on a couple of things, but the main, to start with, so we own our commercial property now, right? So we have a couple buildings. We have 2 single-story buildings. They're not big by any means, but we're not there 24/7 also. So our goal is to find other tenants that want to open their own small business, but we focus on women-owned small businesses in our community. So we have about 3 or 4 different businesses that are renting the space that we have, but we've made a focus to make sure they're all local women-owned businesses first and foremost. Just to try to focus on that first, knowing that we are a women-owned business.
I love that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's
super cool.
I love it. It's not something you expect to go in that direction, right? But here we are, and this is what we're doing. And it happened
naturally just because that's where we wanted it to go. And we didn't say no to other opportunities, but we're just like, hey, we found a great fit, then another great fit. And it's just the women entrepreneurial side of things, just an amazing community of people.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And then I do a lot of stuff with schools. So I went to school to actually be a teacher, and I was at a crossroads of, do I go and actually go into education, or should I go and open the bakery? And so I ended up opening the bakery, and I did a lot of classes and stuff with students. So I got my teaching kick, I guess. But with the schools, I make sure to always, especially the local schools, because, I can't do all the schools, but the local schools, I donate cookies for events or for the teachers or, for the kids. It just depends on what's going on, but I will always support my local schools. And then we have local events that are important as well. You
didn't even mention the coolest thing.
What?
The coolest thing. We have this big, it's about almost a half-acre lot that our commercial property's on.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we have all this parking lot space, and it's just wasted space. I hate to say it like that, but so much just blacktop. We ended up fencing in a big portion of our parking lot, AstroTurf, putting tables. We're turning our parking lot into a food truck lot.
Oh,
we don't do food trucks,
just
for communities
space.
to come, for community members to come in and congregate. There's so many great restaurants that have opened in our town, but sometimes people just want the quick, in and out. Yeah. So,
but we're still connected with the community. Like we're still, very much people. They can come down and see us anytime. And also, did you talk about the mural yet?
Please. It's awesome. I love that.
So we had a mural.
That's so great.
So we're always about community. I mean, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the community, right? And so we did a mural during, was it COVID?
It was COVID.
Was it 2021?
2021. It was on the whole side of our building.
And so one of the ways that I wanted to involve the community was we had a tree that was painted we
had a whole mural, a whole mountainscape, the whole thing.
Right, the whole wall's painted, but we had this tree that they did the trunk with the leaves, right? But then we had everybody from the community, they came and put their handprints on the tree leaves.
Like the leaves.
Yeah, it was
Correct.
so
cool.
And and I kind of wanted to add to it. So I want to keep building this tree and having people keep putting handprints on just over the years. I don't know. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I love the space that we're creating. It's like kind of a, gathering spot.
Yeah.
So
what's the vision for the company moving forward? Like if you were to say, hey, this is where I see the sugar cookie store in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. Is it just what it is now because the balance of work life is so perfect? Or is it you see something different?
I'm very much like, I go with the organic way that the business is heading, right? And right now, I'm fine with where it's at. Does that make sense? Like
sure.
I'm very comfortable with it. And I love having employees, but having employees, it's a lot. And so right now, you might be better at answering this because I'm always like,
you go ahead. I want to hear your perspective.
I'm always like one that backs off a little, and he's the one that pushes me a little bit, and so we're great in the middle.
Great
right?
team.
Yeah.
But once again, I'm not doing the work, right?
Right.
He's the dreamer.
I need to be respectful of her. And
he's
doing
the
work.
dreamer, and I'm the realistic one. So it's really a great team. But anyways, go ahead.
I'm a big believer, though, if you're not, you got to make the right decisions for your family and time, but you have to push those boundaries if you want to.
Yeah.
I mean, think about where we were 6, 7, 8 years ago. If you didn't keep trying to take those steps, we wouldn't have gotten to where we are today.
Being open to change, right? And pivoting and make, because you can't just be set on one thing and this is how the business is going to go and this is the way it's going to be. It's like, well, that's not how business works, and if you're not paying attention and kind of flowing with it, creating different paths, then, you're going to get lost. But
yeah, we need to stay laser focused on the cookies first and foremost is what we need to do.
Yep.
We're investing in other technologies to make our process more streamlined, to
really
reduce our
that.
time of producing the product, and we can focus more time on selling the product.
Yes.
Because those are the two things. We don't want to, we considered, but we decided not to source it from somewhere else and have a wholesaler or a co-packer make our product for us. We said we want to keep the quality high.
Absolutely.
First and foremost.
Yep.
Not saying that a co-packer couldn't do it. We just don't know yet.
Right. And I mean, you have it all under your control right now. So you can see if you want to tweak something, you can tweak something.
Yeah. And I can see it growing as the kids grow. Right. So as time kind of frees up a little bit with each one of them kind of going in, off and doing their thing, I can see the business I'm being more open to the business growing and, but I mean, I love it right now. I feel like we get more eyes on us all the time.
Yeah.
Anytime we do an event or we do cookies for an event, like I have people calling me from out of state. They're like, hey, I had your cookie at this conference. Like I want to get them at my conference. You know what I mean?
So we've done about 5 conferences in Vegas. We had Zoom as a client. We shipped to 6 countries, 3,000 cookies. Google's ordered from us. CU's ordered from us. CSU's ordered from us. All local colleges here. Paramount in Los Angeles.
And it's just from
Nickelodeon
they look
Paramount.
us up and they find us online and they like we talk to them. We build a connection and we talk to them and they're like, we really like you guys as people. And we really want to support you. And so let's do this, So.
But our number one client still, think about out of all those, you think these big names, right? Our number one client's a wedding dress company in Denver that we have done business with for years. They order 200 cookies just about every single week because they have brides coming in with their friends and family trying on dresses for an hour, hour and a half, sipping champagne, drinking a cup of coffee, and they eat a cookie.
Wow.
And that's the sort of customer that we just love because it's consistent business.
Yeah.
But we hand deliver every week to them. We drive an hour every single week to hand deliver, make sure everything's doing well, make sure they don't want anything new on their cookies.
Just communications.
But out of all those big businesses, it's the wedding dress company in Denver that is still our number one client.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably your deepest relationship as well. And I think there's a lot to be said for the connection between any business, or again, to take this outside of business, any organization, whether again, church, or whether it's a philanthropic group or some sort of social group, sports team, the connections that you make between those members or a business and a customer, that's what drives the roots so deep. And it not only does it allow for success, but allows for fulfillment and enrichment, right? So that your days now, you might be working hard, but what you get from fulfillment, from seeing the smiles and from having the relationships, man, that's as sweet as the cookie to me.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Definitely.
So you asked about where the business is going, how we're going to scale. Focus more on just strong relationships.
Yeah.
And whether it takes us into takes us into more hotels or more real estate agents who want to have cookies for their showings, or more wedding dress companies, or if Google wants to order a bunch more, it doesn't matter to us at the end of the day. Focus on the people.
Yeah.
Get them a great product.
Foster those relationships.
Do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
And that's like with anything in life. It's pretty simple if you scale, if you just bring it down to the minute levels.
I love that. So here's my last question for you guys. I'm going to have you answer it separately, and you may have already answered it. If there's one lesson you've learned or one piece of advice that you've been given that has really been fundamental to the way that the best parts of your life, we can always continue to grow and improve and do better and all that stuff, but consider how your life is at its best. Would you be willing to share that one thing, whether it's, again, a piece of advice that you've been given or learned, or some lesson that you've learned along the way? Like, for example, the one thing you shared is relationships are key. I've taken that from this, that good, solid, deep relationships are going to be key no matter what you do. That would be an example. Anything else from each of you that you'd like to share?
I think just my mindset of business. Like we all hear that, or maybe not here, but we all have this idea that you need to work really, really hard, and you do, right? Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't need to run your life, and it's okay to back off a little bit, just to reevaluate life and make sure that you have your balance, and that's where I was. I've got to work really hard. I've got to make this happen. I can't stop. And I was to a point where I was like, wait, what am I doing? I'm not even home with my kids, right, on the weekends. And so I just realized, I'm like, it doesn't need to be this way. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs have that same idea. There's this book, it's called The E-Myth.
Oh, yeah, great book.
Yeah, and so somebody gifted that to me. And it was that moment, it was just him even giving that and just having a conversation with me. It was like, oh, okay, like it doesn't have to be like this. Like just because you're an entrepreneur, it doesn't mean that it's just your business all day, every day, and I would work nonstop, until 2 a.m., 3 a.m., sometimes just all-nighters. And I was just ragged. And so that was when I realized, I was like, okay, it doesn't need to be like this. So now, I come home and I'm home. I leave my work at work and I'll get to it tomorrow, unless it's a deadline or something. But I don't need to bring it with me everywhere I go.
I love that. And the one thing that I'll jump in on that with you, Danay, before Andy, you answer is, I think as entrepreneurs or anyone starting a new career, what happens is you have to use so much effort to get the boulder rolling that there's no getting around that increased hours at the beginning. But what happens is I think we forget and we think that's the standard we have to keep forever. When we've got momentum going, that's when we get flexibility and freedom, and that
that's
we
what
don't
you work
realize.
So hard for.
We get caught in the trap of this is what it takes to get in. So thank you for sharing that. That was beautiful. What about you, Andy? What's a lesson or a piece of advice?
I got two quick things. They relate, but they're also contradictory, I think anyway. So do things for people because you want to do them and you want to see success out of others, genuinely, not because you think it's going to better yourself in the long run. So that's my first thing, is be open and willing to help others no matter what it is. But the second thing is always be okay to say no to things as well. You never want to overextend yourself or do things that are going to put yourself or your family at risk, or that's going to take time away from what you truly need. So always be helpful to people just because you want to help people, but always be okay to say no too.
That is so good. The one lesson that correlates that I learned that I'm not very good at yet, but that I work on too, it's that whole open door policy is like what you're saying, right? Everyone asks and you say yes, is that if we truly find our mission, our values, and what we're doing personally and or professionally, as long as that yes aligns with that, we're good. But anything, no matter how noble, no matter how worthy, no matter how incredible it could be, whether it's bringing on an opportunity or giving someone something for nothing, if it doesn't fit into that scope, no is the best answer.
Yeah. It's
right?
okay to say no.
It'll benefit everyone in the end.
Amazing.
Because you're saving yourselves from a bad situation.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Well, you guys, this has been such a great conversation about so many things. It's been about cookies, and it's been about business, and it's been about family and all the things that make life so rich. So thank you for joining me. I really, really appreciate it. It's important now that people know if they want to get some cookies from you, if they want to connect with you, build a relationship, how do they do that?
They can visit our website or...
What's the website?
Website is www.sugarcookiestore.com. Or you can even just give me a call, which... my phone number's on that card.
Yeah, we're on all the socials, but sugarcookiestore.com.
Facebook and Instagram is great. I mean, we have a lot of, we need to get a little more active again on that, but
time and opportunity.
Yeah, but it's great. It's a great way to connect with us and follow us and watch our story, because we post a lot of our personal lives as well as our business on our business socials. Yeah.
Yep. hello@sugarcookiestore.com is the email address, and it goes directly to my beautiful wife and business partner.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, you guys, this was a beautiful episode. Thank you guys for enriching my life. Thank you for the cookies. I promise I'll share at least one with the team. The rest might go in my
We brought
my
you
office.
12.
That doesn't mean anything.
Okay,
Remember my
gotcha.
sweet tooth level. It's
I'm surprised you made it through the whole episode without taking a bite. I'm just saying.
Hey, if I wouldn't have been able to, if I could have said clear words with that in my mouth, I would have done it. But You guys have been a joy to have on, and look forward to us doing some more business together and having a really successful relationship as well. So for those of you watching, again, if this was sweet to you, please send it to someone. If you have a need for sugar cookies or anything else, please reach out to these guys. They are an inspiration. They're doing great things in the community, and they're making people smile. So while you do that, also keep this in mind. Subscribe, do your thing, hit bell notifications, do all that. But above all else, keep making a difference. See you next time.